What up, Nation? It's your boy Tommy SB back at it again for the NASCAR Wise Take Wise stream here on YouTube. We got a fun one, man. Haven't seen you guys in a little while. Haven't raced since last Thursday, so it's been like 10 days. Got ourselves another Sunday. New Hampshire, mile-long track, so it's not really a short track. It's not really an intermediate track. It's kind of like right there in the middle, kind of its own. So interesting track. We have some good drivers that are usually really good here. We're going to be looking at how they've been doing lately on these types of tracks, these flatter, mid-range type length ovals. So we got 301 laps. That means you got about 227 fantasy points here on DK available in Dominator points. So how are we going to approach that? We've seen a few drivers lead, usually two drivers or so will lead somewhere between 80 and 100 laps each race. So we're going to be trying to find at least those two. Possibly a third could be a cheaper guy, or take one expensive guy, get a little different with two of these cheaper guys that are going to probably be, a little bit lower owned, because, all these really expensive guys are your best drivers day in and day out, as we've seen with finishes here on the, the Wise Take stat sheet. So how much of those people are we going to get? How much are you going to spread them out? How's it going to make you build your lineups this week? We do have some pretty solidly chalky, place differential guys there that are a little bit cheaper. And then some slightly more interesting, plays down there in that range that might be starting a little bit further forward, or, with the potential of some Dominator capability with, some of these cheaper guys. So, like I said, interesting week. We're back to the 750 horsepower package, not the traditional 550 that we've been seeing most recently. So, that throws it in, a little bit of variance again as well. We're getting close to the playoffs. It's going to be a really busy August for these guys. We got 7 races, a couple double headers. We got a couple tracks that, that nobody's ever seen with the the Daytona road course. You're going to see, nobody's seen that. And then, back to another super speedway with the Coke 400 to wrap out the, towards the end of the season here in August. So, how is that going to start playing in, with these tracks that are a little bit more, I guess, traditional as far as strategy can go, because you can get a little bit different with these stage lengths. So, first stage 75 laps, probably going to see a competition caution somewhere between lap 20, lap 30, and then everybody comes in there, it kind of ruins the strategy for that first stint, unless somebody decides to go out maybe with 2 tires or something like that, and, try to catch the right sides of some cautions, man. So that's what's going to throw you, make these last few races a little more interesting, make you be able to take some stands on some of these cheaper, not so dominant drivers that either have a lot of place differential upside or some like low-owned Dominator potential down there in the cheap end. So, we'll dive right in, man. Like I said, probably a 2 to 4 Dominator race. It's usually been 3, I think, over the last 4 or 5 races. We can go here and look at the, laps led, like I was talking. Kyle Busch has led the most over the last 10 races, 730. You see he's led 100 laps 3 different times. That's what you need, out of somebody like that. Same thing with Martin Truex. See a lot of dominant, laps led. And like I said, again, usually at least 2 guys over that 80 lap range, over that 80. But you can see, back in the day, Matt Kenseth 105. You got Denny Hamlin 54 a couple of years ago, and then 113. You're looking for these repeat performances. You can get these guys like Clint Boyer, Eric Amarola, Chase Elliott, Ricky Stenhouse, even stuff like that. Got some viable options to play them this week as well, too, at a little bit lower ownership, man. So we'll dive right into the driver-by-driver breakdown, starting off at the top. You got Kevin Harvick, back-to-back winner here. The last 2 races in 18 and 19. So, you got him starting 7th today. You're looking at needing probably 40, 50, 60, 70 laps, something like that, and, a solid top 5 finish for Kevin Harvick to pay it off. Now, if he's one of those guys that gets you the 80 or more that you're going to need, then he's going to be one of those guys that you need, even at the most expensive price tag. I think people might lean a little bit more towards Blaney, Truex, Denny Hamlin for sure, just because of the price savings with, the limited place differential upside to kind of offset, unless he goes out and just leads 80 laps and wins the race, which is doable. So, I don't expect him to be extremely, extremely popular, but all these guys in the 10K range, you're going to have pieces of them, especially if you're doing mass entry. And you get Ryan Blaney at a $500 savings. You get the place differential upside. So, Blaney might have to lead you 50 laps and finish in the top 5 or something like that to pay off his price tag. And the way he's been running recently, started 5th, finished 4th here last year. Didn't really dominate or lead you any laps really in that race, but 4 wouldn't have been what you needed last year. But again, you're looking at that place differential upside and kind of adding the two together, makes them attractive. Same thing with Truex. Truex, I think, will be popular as well. At 10-7, you're getting one less spot and you're saving another $400. There's, some pretty hefty price drops in these 10K range. So, you're going to get a piece of Truex for sure. Solid top 10 finishing car here. Has been a dominator before, as we've seen. And even with the finishes, hasn't finished outside of the top, 7 in the last 5 races. So, Truex, you're going to want to get a chunk of him as well. It's going to be how much of these guys and the kind of stands you want to take on these guys in your mass entry, or, these guys are probably going to be the cores of a lot of your, smaller entry teams if you're hand building. You're going to want to get a lot of these guys as well. Denny Hamlin probably going to be my favorite, I think, in the 10K range, just because he's starting on the outside of the front row. Denny Hamlin's been just super dominant. You're hoping that Denny Hamlin gets around Eric Almirola at the start, or is able to come out on the flip side on the competition caution, and lead a good chunk of the race. Denny Hamlin, you need a top 5 finish and that 80 lap performance, which is completely doable, and you're getting him at $1,200 cheaper than Kevin Harvick. And you're getting him on the front row already, so that's cool. So you're going to get yourself a big chunk. Started 23rd here, finished 22nd, got you 119 fantasy points last year. That's the kind of thing that you're hoping for, that out of the park performance from Denny Hamlin again. And starting on the outside of the front row is beautiful for him. We get this expensive Christopher Bell trap. Starting 35th, you're like, geez, I've got possibly 15. At least hopeful spots if there's no issues, for free, getting him somewhere near the top 20. But like I said, this is more of a dominator race. Is he going to be able to outscore somebody starting in the top 15 or so that leads 80 laps? Not a chance, unless he somehow gets out there and dominates and finishes, say, top 5, even with the 30 spot place differential. So, if you're building a 2-dominator race and you somehow got enough money to go grab 2 guys from the 10K range because you were able to play with the value, I don't hate you for playing him. I don't think he's going to be super popular like he would have been probably the last couple of weeks where his ownership was steadily going up. I don't think this is going to be that kind of week, probably somewhere on the lower end of the 2 or 3 weeks that he was, in the 15 to 20s, just because, like I said, everybody's going to be looking at the dominators. We could roll right into the 9K range. You got Joey Logano starting 9th. Same thing last year. Only got you at 34. I would have needed a lot more than that last year for me to play him. But, starting 9th, you say top 5 finish for Joey and somehow 30, 40 laps led. Joey Logano is going to pay off. So, as we've seen, Logano's got 73 before. And his finishes have been solid. So, 3 straight top 10s. He had a little bit of issues in 2017, but again, before that, super, super consistent. So, Joey Logano, you're looking at hopefully top 3, top 5 place differential hope. And then it's just is there enough dominator points for it to help pay off the, paying off the price tag at 9,800. So then you got his teammate Keselowski, starting 4th. He started on the pole last year, finished 10th, only got you 36. Again, I'm going to need a lot more than that out of you, so I think that's going to limit his ownership. But again, you're looking for him to go out there and lead you some laps. Keselowski's been that 80-lap dominator. Hasn't been so much recently, but, Penske's been good. So, are you going to get a chunk of Penske this week? Or how much of Joe Gibbs are you going to get? As you can see, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex, most laps led between the two of them. Denny Hamlin's not too much further behind. So these teams, it's getting interesting. Like I said, with the only 7 races left before the playoffs, people like Kyle Busch that don't have a win yet, and these people that aren't quote unquote cemented into the playoffs, MDB, Clint Boyer, Kurt Busch, William Byron, Tyler Reddick is underneath the cut line now. Eric Jones is underneath the cut line. Jimmy, how much is that going to play into these guys? And that's if you really look at it, that's your heart of your 9 to 8K range. They're all kind of in that, same boat. So you're going to get them at your 15 to 20% depending on their place differential or dominator upside. So, again, these guys are going to be pieces you're going to need because you're not going to be able to, like I said, grab 2 or 3 guys in the 10K range to be able to do anything with the rest of your lineup. So, so like I said, both the Penske cars, they're both good in their own way. You're going to need some dominators or Joey Logano with like a top 3 finish, like I said, to pay off his price tag, which is doable, just barring any issues. Kyle Busch, kind of the same thing. How much do you trust Kyle Busch this week? The finishes have been getting a little bit better. Haven't really been dominant performances, which is what you're going to need. Even at his price tag, you're going to need something like he got you last week with a 62 at 9,700. I'm glad the price still went down a little bit again. It's been solid, but that's just the last few races. We need some old school 2019 Kyle Busch if he's going to start to keep even paying off at 9,300. So, like I said, Kyle Busch is going to have to be in your dominator group. So, if you're going to play him, you're playing him as your core for your 2 to 3 to 4 dominators. Chase Elliott, kind of the same boat as Kyle Busch. I trust, Chase Elliott's driving abilities recently. So, I think Chase Elliott, for me, I'm probably going to have a little bit more of him than I would Kyle, just because I do like the front row. But the thing with that is, Kyle Busch has the track history. It's just I don't know how much I can trust him right now with the way he's been running, but he does need a win. And starting 5th, he has a shot at it. Same thing with Chase Elliott. Chase doesn't need a win because he's already in, but again, starting 3rd, he's going to have to be in your dominator group. I think he's going to be, like I said, on the lower end, but he's one of these guys that you can be taking a stand on at 9,100. Like if you were to grab yourself, a Truex and a Chase Elliott as your 2 dominators for your core, try to pick yourself up a cheaper, 3rd dominator, in the hopes that these guys that are cheap lead you like 30, 40 laps and get you there. So, again, decent plays as well. Like I said, if you guys are new to the channel, definitely got to give us the subscribe button. Throw those questions up in the chat. I know baseball, everything else is back, so it's getting a little bit, crazy as far as trying to play everything. So, we're going to keep coming with it. In the NASCAR, we got the 2 o'clock, we got the baseball shows coming up as well, too. So, stay tuned for that. Hit us up at WiseTake. So, no baseball show, I apologize in the show, but, get some content coming out. So, Eric Jones, starting off at the 8K range. Eric Jones is always a question we have each week. He's starting 17th, so you like the place differential potential. He's somebody that can finish in the top 5 for sure. And that's what you're going to need out of him, even at 17th to pay off his $8,900 price tag. So you don't need a whole lot of dominator out of him, but you're going to need a solid finish or a few dominator points maybe on strategy to get you there as well. Eric Jones, another one of the guys that's, like I said, below the cut line. Right now for the playoffs, is 18th. So these guys either need a win or to score some serious points. So they gotta hope for that. So Jimmy Johnson starting 20th, just as interesting as Eric Jones, maybe a pivot off of Eric Jones at a couple $100 cheaper price tag with 3 extra spots. You need something better than last year where he started 10th and finished 30th, but he's another one of those drivers. He's going to have to get a win or a solid finishes in order to make it into the playoffs. So, that's what's going to start getting crazy. Jimmy Johnson's right below Eric Jones in the points. Like I said, these are your guys that are going to come in a little bit lower owned, and you're trying to get there. Another interesting play is Eric Almirola starting on the pole. Like at $8,500 as a pole sitter, he's a solid, second dominator against one of your expensive guys, and it still leaves you a little bit of money to play it as well. So you could pair him with anybody in the 10K range if you were building, a more heavily priced dominator core. Like I said, you're going to have to probably have one of these really expensive 9,500 and above guys, and then try to get your meat and potatoes of your lower owned guys in through here. So, Almirola at $8,500 goes out and leads you 30, 40 laps. He's going to pay off his price tag if he finishes inside the top 5, or any more laps can give him even closer to the top 10 finish and still be good. And, the guy's been finishing solidly in the top 10 for the last 8 races. So, I could see him paying off as well. My boy MDB, $8,300 starting 19th, in garbage equipment, started 7th, finished 5th last year. Not really garbage, but a lot worse than what he's in now. So, You like the MDB place differential upside. Another guy, currently in the playoffs in 15th, but not by any means safe. He's the guy that could get knocked out with a bad performance or be able to lock himself in with a win or, maybe a top 3, top 5 finish and being able to continue to finish out strong. So, same thing there. So then you got Alex Bowman starting 8th. Again, Alex Bowman, he's in the playoffs because he's got the win, but 8th place, he's going to be a potentially super low owned kind of sneaky play at $8,100. If he can go out and lead 20, 30 laps and finish where he started, or even just finish where he started, maybe a spot or two forward, he could pay off $8,100. So, that gets some interesting. Then we start rolling into the 7K range. We got William Byron starting 16th. Byron and Bowman, it's always the proverbial question each week, like which one, if you're going to play them. You like the place differential upside of Byron. But again, not somebody that's been dominant, has never led a lap here. And his finishes are okay, but they're nothing that jumps off the charts. So, Byron 14th and 12th. Like if you could go out and do that again, starting where you're starting, not going to kill me. But if you can get me inside the top 10, I could see you being a little sneaky. It's $7,900. Kurt Busch again, starting 10th. Kurt's been decent here. Has a couple of wins, I think, way back in the day, but has had some top 10 finishes here in the last 5 races, but a couple of blah finishes. Kurt Busch, another guy that's in the playoffs currently on points, but by no means safe. He's sitting in 13th. He's only got 3 spots, and I think it's only like it's a little over 100-point difference between him and the cut line. So, you're going to need something out of Kurt Busch. If he goes out and did what he does in 19 and got you 94 laps led starting 10th, he crushes for you. So, that's what you're going to get him, probably somewhere in that 15 to 10% area. And that's what, like I said, if you're building mass entry, these are the guys you're going to take stands on. Matt Kenseth, $7,600 makes him again another one of these attractive kind of mid-ranged ownership guys starting 21st. Matt's been completely vocal about the fact that he hates that he doesn't have practice. So that being said, if Kenseth goes out and finishes where he started, which should be pretty much a give me in the equipment that he's in, barring any accidents or issues which he's been seeing lately, he's not going to kill you, but for him to pay off even at $7,600, you're going to need something probably close to the top 10, top 12, something like 8-9 place differential points, and that to pay off, say, 5 or 6x value on himself. Tyler Reddick, just kind of right there on the edge of those, top 12, top 13, 14 cars that you're looking at for dominators. You're getting him at $7,500. So Tyler Reddick is a little bit attractive at $7,500. You probably need, say, a top 8 or so to pay off his price tag at $7,500. So, how much do you trust that? Tyler Reddick has been a little bit hit or miss. Not a horrible play week in, week out. He's been strong a little bit more recently, with some solid top 10 finishes in the last 4 races. If the streak continues for Tyler Reddick with that, that's what you're looking for. To pay off. So, Tyler Reddick, another one of these guys, if you're taking mass entry, are you going over, are you going under? Are you fading him? What are you doing with him? He's not going to be super popular, but, the chance to be one of those super low-owned, hammers. Austin Dillon starting 23rd at $7,400. Austin Dillon's been decent here. You're looking for a top 15 finish or so. Top 10 would be the best. He's had only 2 top 15 finishes in the last 6 races here, and only one in the last 5. So, again, don't think he's going to be extremely popular because, the finishes just haven't been there recently. But, again, he's been solid recently. So, you're going to take a stand on Austin Dillon starting 23rd. You love the place differential. If he stays out of trouble, top 15 should be easy, and that's about, like I said, what you're going to need not to kill you. And anything closer to the top 10 or inside the top 10 just makes it, a little bit more gravy. And then Clint Boyer, you're getting is pretty much the cheapest potential dominator at $7,200 starting 6th. The finishes haven't been the greatest over the last few, 23rd to 30th. Finished outside of the top 20 here, but you go back a few years, he's finished 16th, started 16th, finished 12th. So, you're taking a stand on Clint Boyer just because you're like, all right, like I could take this guy, and that really helps me get my third dominator in there on a 3 dominator build with somebody like him, or spending up a little bit more for like an Eric Amarola or an Alex Bowman or even a Kurt Busch. You're getting Clint Boyer at the cheapest at 6, so that makes him a little bit attractive. But I think he's going to go a little bit overlooked just because, the next guy in 7K is John Hunter Nemechek starting 36th. So, Nemechek, don't really have a lot of data on him. But on these flat tracks, average around top 25-ish. So if he can hit his average and get you to like the top 20s, he's going to be all right for you. Even at 7K, I'd like something with, a low 2 in it, like a 22, a 21. That would be beautiful. Get you 10, 12, 15 spots. So, 7K, I think he's going to be pretty popular. Same thing with Ricky Stenhouse. You're getting Ricky really deep this week in 31st at $6,800. Like, with these 2 to 3 dominator builds, you're going to have these cheaper guys. Like I said, I don't think these guys are going to be astronomically owned, but they're going to be pretty high. You're going to see these guys probably in the 25 to 30s just because they're safe. And then Ricky, he's safe in up place differential upside if he just drives a clean race, but he's not safe by any means of finishing the races we've always seen with him. Cole Custer, 14th, kind of in the same boat as Tyler Reddick, and interesting. I'm getting almost $1,000 price difference, $800 cheaper with Cole Custer. So if I had to take a stand on one of these two guys, I'd probably lean more towards the Custer if I was looking at the Ricky train here in this price range, just because he's been a little bit more solid, got the win, to get into the playoffs. So Tyler Reddick, another one of those drivers that's kind of on that cut line. So, what's Tyler Reddick going to do? Cole Custer's already in, so let's see what he does there. Underneath him, you got Ryan Newman, starting 22nd at $6,600. It's like, I don't know. That's like a misprice to me. So, I like that price tag at $6,600. Newman probably just needs to get you, like I said, somewhere close to the top 15, top 18, to pay off at a $6,600 price tag. And it's Ryan Newman. So, nothing's out of the question. Started 26th, finished 7th here last year. Got you 57 fantasy points. You're just looking for that again. Even at $6,600, that's 8x. I'll take that any day of the week. So let's get it, Ryan Newman. Like I said, it's going to be pretty popular as well. Bubba Wallace, with Ryan Newman and even Michael McDowell or Corey LaJoie or Buescher that are cheaper, I think Bubba Wallace is kind of going to be in that no man's land. If somehow on strategy Bubba Wallace goes out and leads 20 laps and then finishes 15th, like he crushes for you, or if somehow on strategy he ends up with a top 10 finish at $6,500, he's going to be one of those super low owned hammers that's going to get there for you. So, maybe get yourself a little bit of Bubba Wallace. I wouldn't go crazy. Like I said, I don't think he's more than a 5 to 10% guy, probably in mass entry. But again, somebody you could take a stand on if you think he's going to get there for you. Michael McDowell starting 18th. I would probably play McDowell over Wallace just because I'm getting the extra place differential upside and the $200 savings. But, kind of still in that no man's land of finishes. Michael McDowell, $6,300 finishes around here, or somehow on strategy gets you a handful of something or some fastest laps, or on a pit strategy that he gets out and leads you a couple or whatever. That's what it's going to take for McDowell to get you there. And then we roll into the rest of the 6K range. Your $6,200 Corey LaJoie starting 33rd, I think is going to be really popular just because he's bargain basement priced. Daniel Suarez at $5,900 starting 37th. We're going to constantly get him, like we said, his uncharted team, going to get him outside of the top 36 every week of the year. So, Suarez has just been driving his car around, avoiding all the accidents that have been happening, which we've had the last few races, and been finishing in the top 25. That's all you need out of Suarez again this week at starting 37th. Goes into your 45. Last 4 weeks in a row, he's not killed you. Last 5 weeks, he's been decent. And even when he was starting inside the 20s, he was still finishing, inside of the top 20. So, just been solid, even though he's in garbage equipment. But, you can take some stabs at Daniel Suarez starting 37th just because you're hoping for, free place differential, like a 25th. Ty Dillon starting 25th. Interesting as well. Kind of a nice pivot off of Suarez or Buescher, which I think are going to be popular in LaJoy with the 25th. Started 18th, finished 16th here before. Started 25th here last year and finished 23rd. No, he's not killing you with that. Started 20th, finished 19th. The 34, I'll be happy with at his price tag. So, from a fantasy points perspective, Ty Dillon's got you there a few times, and you like that $5,700 price tag. Ryan Preece, probably where I'd kind of cut it off unless you really, really had to get into one of these bargain basement guys. You're hoping for a lot of wrecks. You're hoping for issues for like the Timmy Hills, the J.J. Yaleys, the Brennan Pools, Joey Gase, Garrett Smithley, all them to get you there. So, I don't think you're going to have to go down there. Definitely, if you have more than one down there, you're really swinging for the fence with the top of your lineup and it's trying to really stab maybe a 4 dominator race in there. So if you're doing that, I could see it. But again, I don't think you're going to have to get that crazy. Let me get into questions real quick. We got Jeremy Duggan, Hamlin, Truex, Bell, Matty D, Nemechek for FanDuel Cash. Let me get over to FanDuel here real quick. We'll run some stuff here. Harvick at 14-2. He makes the cheat sheets just because, you're hoping. Even on here, we've got 20 30 dominator points available. So Harvick goes out and leads you 100 laps. Even at 14-2, he pays off. Denny Hamlin, again, you're hoping, I think he'll be more popular. Chase Elliott, you're getting the price discount. That's nice. Kyle Busch, do you trust him this week again? Martin Truex, you like the place differential, which really is one of the big things that means something here. Truex gets you top 3, top 5 finish. He pays off for a handful of dominator points in a solid finish. Brad Keselowski, 12K. Again, I think it's going to be lower owned just because he's probably going to need some dominator points or to finish inside of the top 3 to pay off here at 12K. I think people are going to gravitate a little bit more towards your Blaney's, Logano's, Amarolas, or Eric Jones, kind of wrapping out your 10K range. It all really depends. If you want to go really, I was looking through here earlier, you could roll down here and grab yourself. If you're saying, all right, man, I think Daniel Suarez is going to finish 25th at, practically min price. You're getting Suarez at $4,500. Okay. Or even LaJoy at $4,000, I think would probably be my, base if I was building a cash team where I really wanted to spend up on the rest. So, at 4K with a Corey LaJoy goes out and gets you a top 22, 23. He's there and he's super cheap. That lets you go grab, say, a Denny Hamlin. You expect to lead early. Let me grab some Kyle Busch. If you trust him this week, I've still got 10K. You go grab an Eric Jones at 10.3. It only pushes me down here into the 97s, and you can get yourself somebody like a Christopher Bell or a Jimmy Johnson or even a Clint Boyer if you're taking a third dominator even on here. I don't think you're going to need a third dominator. And Jimmy Johnson 20th, potential top 10. I kind of like that. So something like that, I think, is where you're going to be leaning on cash. It's, go to one of these possible cheaper guys. Ricky Stenhouse at $6,800 is a nice base. John Hunter Nemechek at 62 is a nice base. If you're just taking your one solid place differential guy for like building a cash team, and that lets you really just kind of do what you want with your let you do whatever you want with the the rest of your 4 spots. Like I said on DraftKings, you're looking at the 2 to 3 dominators. You need that guy to lead you 80 or so laps, and get there for you. So we got Todd Kutzale, Austin Dillon, or John Hunter Nemechek. You're going equipment versus place differential on that one. I think those guys are going to both probably be in the same kind of ownership percentage. I would find myself, if that's the case, I would want to lean more towards the guy I think might be a little bit lower owned, which is probably going to be Austin Dillon. And I'd want to probably attack that unless the rest of your lineup is super solid, and you've got kind of just the safety. You think that your other 4 or 5 guys are pretty solid as far as their place differential at Dominator, and that's the kind of money you got left. You could lean either way, but I would probably lean Austin just because I think he's going to be lower owned, and with his recent form, I think he's got a lot better shot at getting you there. Any more questions, guys? Fire them up. Try to get out of here real quick. So again, like I said, DK 2 to 3 Dominator race. Possibly 4 if you're going to really take some stands on these cheaper guys, with Dominator potential. Like if you wanted to say take an Alex Bowman and an Eric Amarola at $8,500, that leaves you with $8,300 for your other. So you can go up here and grab yourself whatever you want as far as your core big guys. Saying a Truex and a Blaney, if you wanted to go there, still leaves you with 58. Like I said, you can go down and you can grab one of these cheaps, say a LaJoy, leaves you a 54, kind of pushes you a little lower than you want to go with that. Probably taking out somebody like a Bowman, getting yourself back up in here to, say, in Austin, Dillon starting 23rd. That leaves you enough to grab yourself like a Chris Busch or Suarez or Ty Dillon or Priest in order to build your lineups that way as well. So, like I said, it's 2 to 3 Dominator. You're going to need those 2 guys that they lead 80 laps or more, or you're going to need those lower owned, cheaper guys that lead 30, 40 laps. So, Hamlin, Elliot, Stenhouse, LaJoy, Austin, Dillon, and Bell in DK. Okay, so that's a solid 2 Dominator build. As you can see with the Stenhouse, LaJoys, and even the Bell price tag, it really lets you do what you want. So if you're thinking you're only going to have 2 guys lead 80 to 100 laps, and then the other guys are going to be non-circumstantial, Hamlin and Elliott are solid guys with the place differential and Dominator potential for sure. And the Stenhouse, again, the place differential is beautiful with him. The Joy, same thing, and then the Bell and Austin Dillon. You're taking pretty solid place differential drivers with that. So I definitely don't hate that team at all for you, Todd. It's a great team. Unless you wanted to say take out the Bell and look and see if you wanted to grab a 3rd Dominator, in that Bell price range. You could. So we got Bell at 10-1. You could pay down and take a Logano or Keselowski or even a Kyle Busch as a 3rd Dominator with the amount of money you had left too. So if you wanted to go 3 Dominator, that's probably the move I would make. Because Christopher Bell, you're going to need, for him to really crush, you're going to need it inside of the top 15. Theoretically 15th to 20th or so is where he should finish, barring any issues. So, I would probably try to lean towards a 3rd Dominator. But again, if you're pretty happy with your 2 Dominator, then run for it, man. Jones or Amarola on FanDuel. Probably for me, it depends on how you're looking at the race. If you think Amarola is able to get out there and lead maybe up to the competition caution and finish inside the top 10, I'd say go Amarola. If you think that like I said, the Dominator points are going to be spread out and these expensive guys are just going to be kind of okay, I could see you going with the cheapness of Eric Jones. I mean, you're saving yourself, a little bit of money down there at 10-3. So, that's, you don't need as much out of Eric Jones. A top 10 finish is what you want. You want your 5 drivers in the top 10. And if there's at least 1 or 2 Dominators on FanDuel that lead 80 to 100 laps, you're going to need those extra fantasy points if they're expensive to get you there. So I said I can see you going either way. But I do think Amarola will probably, what's Amarola's price at 10.5? Yes, it's the exact same price range, and to me they're about the same. But I don't know. I'd lean towards him. I don't know. Jones, I think, is safer with the place differential, but Amarola's got that sneakier potential Dominator and solid, top 10 finishes, which he's been doing. So I kind of like the lower ownership probably on Amarola than Jones, if I had to lean in a team. All right, guys, so get another minute or so. If you guys want to rack those questions up, just keep firing them at me. I'm here. If you guys want to hit me up on Twitter, it's at kartracing_22. Hit the Wise Take Nation up. Hit us at wisetake.com. We've got the day pass options. We've got the season long. We've got the multi-sport. Like, you can come on and just be a monthly subscriber and get everything. It's phenomenal. Slack chat, if you're monthly members or more, is one of my favorite things. I'm talking to my members all the time, trying to build these lineups. We've been crushing. So hit us up, man. wisetake.com. And thanks for watching.
Yeah.